Hey guys, welcome to another replay of the week. This week's member feature is Winged. He does a large amount of damage on Himmels, and he makes some really aggressive and also smart plays. Plays where it's smart to be aggressive on Himmels. So looking at this matchmaking, we see 5 TDs, 6 heavies, and that would mean 4 mediums. So typically what you see on Himmels is half the heavies go 8 line, half the heavies go hill, and then there's kind of a split between the mediums and the TDs, with the majority of the medium tanks heading towards the hill, and same with about half the TDs would go hill too. So we're anticipating that there are going to be a lot of tanks in the hill. So we go hill here because as a tier 10 in tier 8 MM, we want to be really aggressive. We want to push the tempo. We want to make sure that we're getting our damage out and trading with our big guns against their small alpha. So we're using the majority of our boosts to get to the hill. You can see here that this was really good because it allowed it. This guy was caught off guard. He was not expecting to find the enemy's tier 10 heavy tank up on the hill so early, right? And it also means that we get to give him a second shot and kill him before the rest of his team can really come on the hill. So at this stage of the game, we're going to boost across over to here. Now, I like this play for a couple reasons. Number one, the entire enemy team is unspotted, or is spotted, meaning it could only be a 257 that's on the hill too. And number two, we're a tier 10 tank, it's a tier 8 tank in front of us. There's not really much else to say about it. It's an aggressive, good play, and it works out, which is really good. It's a good shot into the 257 there. Now, we get a little unfortunate in that the Cent 5-1 and the 257 have realized they can peek into us without getting punished because of our team. They're kind of slow on the hill. They're slow to come up the hill. And so they're not in position to really punish the overpeaks. And so Winged is thinking about running away, running back. And I'm glad he doesn't, because that would have been a big mistake and it would have wasted his last boost. Because running away, you probably take another shot as you're running, and then kind of wasted so much time, because eventually you would have wanted to come back here, because this is where you want to be. This is where the fight is, this is where the damage is. It's on the hill anyways, right? So we're just peeking and farming this 257. We get kind of lucky the type 5 bounces. I don't think we realized he was there, and now we realized that we can shoot the 907. So we're going to shoot the 907 here because he is the most dangerous tank. He is a tank that if we ignore him, he'll be able to farm us eventually, because he's going to kill our Charfitcher 4. He's probably going to kill our Obsidian after, or shoot us. And so we want to make sure that we put damage into the tanks that can damage us, right? So now here, this is an interesting poke. He didn't shoot back, which was great because he kind of peeked sideways. It's a bit of an unlucky bounce, and now we're just waiting to see if the 907 gives us a shot. Now this was not a good shot to take. There was a safer way to get here, but it's a good thing because the Type 5 let us shoot him back, so we ended up trading effectively there. There was a safer way to get to this position. It's okay to take damage to get to a better position, but there was a way to get to this position kind of for free without taking any damage. And so now we've seen that the Type 5 is not peeking, so we're going to go look to shoot down on the G line. And we find 2 BZs who don't realize that we've taken the hill from them. So we just get a free shot into them there. And now this game is kind of at a stalemate, but it's also not, because we have the better positions, our team has the better positions, and HP is starting to come in our favor. So that shot on the BZs I really like, because Winged waited until both BZs were moving towards him, meaning that they had a smaller shot on him. Like their dispersion was bigger, they had a less chance of hitting him. and it also meant that the angle that he had on the top of their turret was better, right? And so now we're just shooting on reload. We've used our last boost to get down here to enable us to maximize our DPM, and then a Conway gets spotted behind us here, right? And this is a kind of a tricky situation because what was it 2v1 at one point is now a 2v2, and it is now a 1v2. So in a 1v2 situation, with the amount of HP that Winged has here, he wants to make sure that he kills the Conway with his next shot so that he can focus on winning the patent. In this type of situation, you want to try to put your armor to at least one of the tanks here. I would probably put it towards the Conway because he's got the bigger alpha and he's only going to be able to shoot us once anyways. Or both tanks are only going to be able to shoot us once. We don't end up pointing our armor at anyone and we take both shots, which was kind of unnecessary, I think. But the Conway dies, giving us a good haul down here. And we are using that haul down very effectively here. Patent doesn't really know what to do here, I don't think. Eventually he figures it out. And he gets a pretty lucky ammo rack, but thankfully we have the repair kit. Now we're just gonna put him in a face hug here. This is really good. It's good that he's sideways because that means that his shot down onto our upper plate is smaller. We also got a nice fire there, which doesn't really do anything at the end of the day because he's still a 3-shot for us regardless. And this was the game. So this was a really good job of recognizing that you could be very aggressive on the hill because they had so few tanks on the hill and they were so slow to the hill. It was good that you used your boosts optimally. You used the majority getting up the hill, one to cross the hill, and then one to come down on this Type 5, which allowed you to start putting shots into the Type 5 sooner. It was good job shooting down into the G line, recognizing that you had the opportunity for pretty safe shots, even though the peaks might have looked a little interesting. They were perfectly fine. I would have liked to see you advance, push up against the Type 5 a little better. There was a bit of, you took a couple unnecessary shots from the Type 5 and a couple interesting pokes that could have been punished that weren't. But overall, this was a really good showcase of how it's good to be aggressive in this type of situation. In this situation, it was really good to be aggressive here. So good job, Winged. And that was this week's member replay feature. Be sure to submit replays for the next week. And now it is time for the coaches replay. So this is a pretty good game I have on Oyster Bay. This is a map that I think a lot of people struggle with, so I've chosen a game that was on this map, kind of in order to showcase what can be done. My opinion of this map is it's good if you're in the right tank, if you're in a heavy tank, or a triangle that has armor, or like some armor and a decent gun like this one, then it can be good. But if you're in a medium tank or a paper TD, it's not great. I would recommend thinking about banning it maybe, depending on how many bans you have and what maps that you don't enjoy playing on, right? So to start off, we're gonna go the hull down here. This tank, you have a lot of upper hull armor, but you don't have a lot of lower hull armor, as is the case with most tanks. So we're just trying to minimize the shot the IS-7 has on us by using this rock here on our right. So the IS-7 turret is super strong, but this tank has 400 pen, and as you can see by the numbers, the turret is really only 360 effective around the gun. And so we're just going to wait for the IS-7 to give us a shot, and we get a little lucky, it's accurate, and it just pens his turret, because that is what 400 heat pen will do to an IS-7. Anyway, so now looking at the map, we can see that we're probably going to lose the north. Our Type 61 just died. Their E5 their Patriot is in a pretty aggressive position for a tier 8 in this kind of matchmaking. And he's just killed our Saladin, meaning we're probably going to lose the north. And it's going to be quick. It's going to be quick. So we're kind of looking right now, looking for a shot, see if we have anything north, and we're thinking about running away. And then the Badger peaks. And that was lazy by me. I should have just backed off instead of turning sideways in the open for him, and it ends up costing me a shot of damage. He is able to shoot us. And now the IS-7 and the IS-4 have made a pretty big mistake. This push down the middle here is very, very difficult to pull off. You have to have a massive overmatch in terms of tank numbers, and they don't, obviously. That shot, I should have aimed it more. It was rushed. I'm not sure why I rushed it. The IS-4 had shot. I had all day to shoot, but I rushed it and it ended up costing me. So there we aim a little longer and we get rewarded, right? And so now we're just farming these people off reload because they can't really pen me from this rock. I'm very held down to them, and they're not in the most accurate of tanks. So we see that that guy just fired. So we're gonna wide peek here and we're gonna give a shot, because even if he shoots us once, we do 750 damage and he does 440, and he ends up bouncing, so it's a pretty good trade. And so now we want to be really aggressive again, because we've noticed that our team is behind us. We want to make sure we get one more shot into him. And we're kind of counting on our team to kill him here. He's 400 HP, the E5 should kill him, and he ends up doing it. So we're kind of we're trying to maximize our rotation speed here. So now we see the G-Sor. The G-Sor ends up falling off the cliff to his death, but we see the Grill coming up behind us. And as you know, the Grill does not have a lot of armor. So we're loading HE, and the Grill ends up shooting the BZ and I guess missing, and the BZ ends up missing, which is very good for us because it means we get a full 1100 damage HE round into the Grill. And now, unfortunately, we were not fast enough to get up the ramp, and so we end up missing out on an opportunity to kill the Grill. And now, in this situation, I'm trying to kill the Grill because he's the most dangerous tank on the enemy team, besides with the Badger, but I can't really do anything with the Badger. So I want to kill the guns and kind of push the game to be faster here. But the G-Sort ends up distracting me, and he just dies. The guard ends up taking the BZ shot. And so now I look and I see that these people, there's a big rock between me and him. This guy's probably not going to peek again because he's 500 HP. And the Grill doesn't have an angle when I drive like this. So I'm going to go drive and I'm going to look for a shot on the E5 here. Or on the Patriot here. And unfortunately he gets shot before we shoot him, so we don't get all the damage. Here we notice that the Grill is looking more towards the BZ, and we won't have gun depression to shoot him from here. So we're going to drop off here. We're going to drop off, and we're going to try to push the 2 tier 8s. Now, the reason we're pushing the 2 tier 8s is because 1, we're closer, and 2, these 2 tanks, the Conway and the Jagdtiger, they're not really going to die ever. They're going to live for a while because none of my teammates are there to shoot them. These 2 tanks will die first, meaning I want to be the ones to kill them, because then I can rotate to the other tanks faster. Okay, so we end up killing the Scent without him shooting us. Now here, we could 100% be shot by the Conway if he pulled back into the river and shot us. Or if the Jagdtiger was a little bit more aggressive than he is right now. We could definitely be shot, but it's a risk that I was willing to take. But the guard gets Amarak by the Grill, killed by the Grill. And so now all the HP is on the Conway, the Jagdtiger, and the Scorpion G. So we are going to go to a position where we can shoot 2 of the tanks with HP. That is the Conway and the Jagdtiger. And we're loading heat in case we find the Jagdtiger. And now we're checking to see which way the Conway is facing, because I know I have pretty good HE pen. I have 90mm of HE pen. So I know that if I have his back, which I do, I will be able to HE pen him. So as you can see, big shot of HE damage, and the Jagdtiger's there. Now, the reason we push forward here is because we want to push the tempo of the game. Okay? We don't want to be waiting and sitting here because this guy is very in the open to all my tanks up here. If they come here where the M5Y is, they can 100% shoot the Jagdtiger, and I want to be the one shooting the Jagdtiger and taking his HP, right? So right now we're checking which way the Conway's looking. We can see if we zoom out a bit that he's kind of looking for us, but he's not really peeking because he's scared. And we notice here that there's no more damage left in this game. It's all on the Jagdtiger and the Scorpion. And so we want to be the one to do that damage. We're going to try to get as safe as we can from the Conway, who ends up dying, and kill the Jagdtiger. And now we're looking for the Scorp G. We know he was last spotted around here, so we're going to be careful as we pull around the corner. We're going to angle ourselves up, and we end up spotting him, which is very good, balancing the shot. Very good, and we're going to load HE, because obviously it's the Scorpion G. The tank does not have any armor. And now you might be wondering, why aren't we looking for the Artie right now? Because the Scorpion G has more HP, and my team is not really in a position to shoot him. So for now, I'm looking at the Scorpion G for my last shot. But as the Scorpion G goes towards my teammates, and my teammates come closer to where they could have a shot on him, as you can see here, we're going to look at the Artie, because the Artie will be where the rest of our damage comes from this game. And we get a pretty nice shot on the Artie to round out the game. Anyways, this was the coach's replay feature of the week. There were a couple things I could have done better. Number one, when I was going to rotate from this position, I should have just reversed instead of turning sideways. That caused me to take the shot from the Badger, which didn't matter at the end of the day, but it's always good to have more HP than you end up needing at the end of the day. One other thing I probably could have done was aim the shot on the IS-4 a little better. That did end up costing me damage at the end of the day, which was rather unfortunate, but it is what it is. Anyways, those were this week's replays of the week. I hope it was helpful. Remember that you are now able to submit replays between now and the publishing of the next replay of the week video for a chance to be featured and a chance to win the 1 hour of free coaching.